The air hung thick and heavy, charged with the energy of an approaching storm. At Arlington, Sergeant Anya Petrova walked her 21 steps, the sharp click of her boots a steady heartbeat against the coming thunder. She was a silhouette of discipline against the ghostly white headstones. Then, a flash of lightning split the sky, illuminating a figure standing just beyond the chains, a soldier in a tattered, old-world uniform. He raised a hand, pointing into the cemetery's shadowy depths. But another thunderclap plunged the world back into darkness, and he was gone. Before I reveal what she saw in the direction he was pointing, make sure you hit that subscribe button and drop a comment telling us where you're watching from. Now, let's get into it. The night began like any other shift at Arlington, a place where the silence speaks louder than any storm. As a tomb guard of the 3rd U.S. Infantry Regiment, Sergeant Anya Petrova was a creature of precision and logic. At 30, her world was defined by measurable things. 21 steps, a 21-second pause, the exact angle of her M14 rifle. Ghosts were not in the manual. Her initial reaction was pure training. Dismiss and refocus. It was a trick of the light, an overtired mind playing games in the electrically charged air. The storm was making shadows dance. Nothing more. She completed her turn, her face a mask of resolute calm. But a seed of doubt had been planted in the unbreachable fortress of her mind. The next night was clear, the sky littered with cold, indifferent stars. The oppressive humidity had broken, leaving the air crisp. Anya felt more centered, the previous night's anomaly filed away as a fluke. But at 2 a.m., precisely as before, he was there. No lightning this time, just a chilling, unnatural clarity. He stood closer, his form more solid. She could make out the faded olive drab of a Great War uniform, the puttees wrapped around his legs, and a face, achingly young, pale as the marble monuments surrounding them. His eyes were what seized her. They weren't menacing. They were filled with a profound, desperate plea. He again raised his arm, pointing to the same section of the cemetery, his gesture slow and deliberate. Anya's breath hitched, a tiny, insubordinate sound in the vast quiet. She held his gaze for a full 3 seconds before he dissolved, not vanishing in a blink, but fading like smoke into the cool night air. By the 3rd night, the professional dismissal had eroded into a gnawing unease. Sleep offered little escape, her dreams filled with muddy trenches and the smell of rain. Before her shift, she found her Master Sergeant, Frank Miller, in the guard shack, reviewing duty rosters. Miller was a man carved from the same granite as the monuments, a 20-year veteran whose belief system had no room for spectral encounters. Anya hesitated, choosing her words carefully. "Master Sergeant," she began, her voice steady despite the tremor in her gut. "Have you ever heard stories about this place? Things that don't quite add up." Miller looked up, his eyes sharp and assessing. He didn't mock her, which was somehow worse. "Petrova, every soldier who has ever stood this post has seen shadows in the fog and heard whispers on the wind. It's the weight of the place. You're guarding the soul of a nation, and that's a heavy lift. Are you sleeping all right? Eating properly? Don't let your imagination get the better of your training." He placed a hand on a stack of files, a gesture that was both grounding and dismissive. "This ground is sacred, but it's just ground. The dead are at peace. Remember your duty. Focus on the living." His advice was sound, logical, and completely at odds with the pleading eyes she couldn't forget. The conflict was no longer just about a strange sighting. It was a battle between her sworn duty to remain unwavering and an undeniable feeling that another soldier, long dead, was asking for her help. That night, she walked her 21 steps with a new, heavier burden. It wasn't fear, but responsibility. The Master Sergeant's words echoed in her mind, but they couldn't erase the image of the soldier's face. The logical explanations felt hollow. Anya knew she wasn't cracking under pressure. This was something else, something that demanded to be understood. After her shift, unable to rest, she made a call she hadn't made in months. She dialed her Aunt Carol, a retired Army nurse who had served 2 tours in Vietnam. Carol was the family's quiet historian, A woman who had seen enough of life and death to believe that not everything could be explained by a textbook. Anya recounted the events of the past 3 nights, expecting skepticism, but receiving only a thoughtful silence. "Anya," Carol finally said, her voice raspy but kind, "in the hospitals, especially during the mass casualties, you'd hear things. A boy calling for his mother, who had passed a year before. Men seeing brothers they'd lost on the battlefield, standing in the doorway. We called them echoes. Some called them angels." She paused. "War leaves an imprint. A soul can get stuck. If he's showing himself to you, a guardian of that sacred place, he isn't trying to haunt you. He's trying to report for duty. He has a message he was never able to deliver. He's not a ghost, Anya. He's a soldier, and he needs his comrade to listen." Carol's words reframed everything. It wasn't a haunting, it was a summons. A duty. Energized by this new perspective, Anya spent her next off-duty hours at the Arlington National Cemetery's digital archives. The task was daunting. Thousands of records, a sea of names and dates. She focused her search, using the only clues she had, the World War I uniform and the direction he pointed. For hours, she sifted through casualty lists from the Meuse-Argonne offensive, the final, bloody push of the war. Nothing. Frustrated, she broadened her search to the records of the unknowns themselves. Deep within a digitized file for an unidentified soldier recovered in 1921, she found it. An inventory of personal effects listed a standard-issue pocket Bible and, under miscellaneous, a small blood-soaked scrap of paper found in his breast pocket. A barely legible note, written in pencil, had been transcribed. "Will, Pennsylvania, 19. Her heart hammered against her ribs. Will, a name, a place, an age. It was a fragile thread, but it was real. That night, as she began her watch, the air felt different. Less menacing, more expectant. As she walked the plaza, she began to speak, her voice a low whisper that wouldn't carry beyond the tomb. "Will," she said to the empty space. "If that's your name, I'm Sergeant Anya Petrova. I hear you. I'm listening. I'm a soldier, too. Show me what I need to do." She felt a strange sense of calm settle over her. She was no longer just a guard pacing a stone slab. She was a medium, a conduit for a story that had been lost to time for over a century. The fear was gone, replaced by a profound sense of purpose. Her mission had expanded beyond the tomb, into the very history it was built to represent. The connection, once established, grew stronger. A few nights later, as a low-hanging mist crept between the headstones, Will appeared again. This time, he was on the plaza itself, just feet from her path. Anya held her ground, her rifle steady, her gaze locked with his. As their eyes met, the world around her dissolved. It wasn't a memory. It was a living, breathing experience. She was standing in a field of green, under a vast Pennsylvanian sky, watching a young man with Will's face say goodbye to a woman with tear-filled eyes, his mother. She saw him sitting in a muddy trench by candlelight, a small ink smudge on his finger as he wrote a letter. "Dear Ma, I'll be home by Christmas. Don't you worry." Then, the world exploded in fire and noise. The scream of artillery, the chaos of the Meuse-Argonne. She saw Will fall, his hand clutching the pocket where he kept that letter, his last thoughts not of war, but of home. The vision receded, leaving Anya gasping, her knuckles white on her rifle. "I see you, Will," she whispered, her voice thick with emotion. "I see it all." The soldier's image softened, the desperation in his eyes replaced by a quiet gratitude. He pointed one last time, with a sense of finality, and then was gone. Anya knew she now had more than just a name. She had a story. The next morning, she requested a meeting with Dr. Evelyn Reed, Arlington's resident historian. Dr. Reed was a meticulous academic, a woman who dealt in primary sources and hard evidence, not ghostly visions. Anya laid out her findings, starting with the archival record of the note, the tangible proof. Then, cautiously, she described the details she had intuited. The Pennsylvania farm, the unsent letter, the specifics of his last moments. Dr. Reed was skeptical, her expression a mixture of professional curiosity and concern. "Sergeant, these are incredibly specific details. How could you possibly know this?" Anya met her gaze. "I can't explain how I know. I just do." He was a soldier trying to deliver a message. Help me complete his mission. Perhaps it was the conviction in Anya's voice, or the unnerving accuracy of the details she provided, but Dr. Reed agreed to help. Together, they cross-referenced the name, with Pennsylvania units lost in the Meuse-Argonne. After 2 days of intense searching, they found him. Private William Harper, age 19, from Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Reported missing in action, October 1918. His body was never officially identified. He was one of thousands of unknowns. "That's him," Anya said, a wave of relief washing over her. But it wasn't enough. Will wasn't the only one. His story was one of countless others lost to history. That afternoon, Anya stood before her commanding officer, Master Sergeant Miller, at her side for support. She proposed something unprecedented, a new initiative, which she called the Memory Project. It would be a simple ceremony held monthly. A tomb guard would stand before the tomb and read the story of an unknown soldier, using the fragments of information they had, a name, a hometown, a letter, to give them back their identity, even if just for a moment. The tomb isn't just about guarding the unidentified, Anya argued, her voice filled with passion. It's about remembering them. All of them. Miller, who had seen the evidence Anya and Dr. Reed had compiled, looked at their CO. "Sir," he said, his voice firm, "Sergeant Petrova's project is in the highest tradition of the old guard. It's about honoring our own." The first ceremony for the Memory Project was held at dusk on a crisp autumn evening. A small gathering of off-duty soldiers, a few curious tourists, and Dr. Reed stood in the fading light. Anya, in her pristine dress uniform, stood before the tomb of the unknown soldier. Her hands trembled slightly as she held the single sheet of paper, but her voice was clear and strong, carrying across the silent plaza. "We are here tonight to remember a soldier," she began. His name was Private William Harper. He was born in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, in 1899. He loved the smell of hay after a rainstorm and dreamed of being a schoolteacher. He wrote letters to his mother, promising he would be home by Christmas. She detailed his service, his sacrifice, and his final moments in the Meuse-Argonne. His name was lost to the chaos of war, but his story was not. Tonight, we, his brothers and sisters in arms, remember him. We speak his name so that it will never again be lost to silence. When she finished, a profound quiet fell over the plaza. It felt as if the entire cemetery was holding its breath. Anya looked toward the spot where we used to appear, but it was empty. She felt a sense of peace, a mission completed. That night, and for all the nights that followed, Will did not return. The Memory Project, however, grew beyond anything Anya could have imagined. Other guards volunteered to research and read. The monthly ceremonies became a quiet tradition. A local news station did a story, and it was picked up nationally. Soon, letters and emails began pouring in from families of soldiers still listed as MIA, sharing stories and photos. Schools started incorporating the project into their history lessons. The simple act of speaking a name had created a powerful, nationwide current of remembrance. A year later, Anya was standing her watch on a cool evening. The project had become an official part of the old guard's duties. As she paced, she noticed a young girl, no older than 10, holding the hand of an elderly man in a wheelchair draped with a Vietnam veteran's blanket. The girl approached the tomb hesitantly and placed a single daisy at its base. Tucked into the petals was a small, folded note. After a shift, Anya approached them. "That was a beautiful flower," she said gently. The old man nodded, his eyes weary but proud. The little girl looked up at Anya, her eyes bright. "My great-uncle was lost in the war," she said. "We never knew what happened. But your stories, they make us feel like he's not forgotten. So we wanted to say thank you." The simple words struck Anya with the force of a physical blow. This was the true meaning of her work. It wasn't about ghosts. It was about the living. It was about healing wounds that span generations. Later that week, Anya visited her father, a quiet, stoic man who had served in the Gulf War and never once spoken of it. They sat on his porch as she told him the whole story about Will, the visions, and the little girl with the daisy. For the first time, her father opened up, sharing stories of the friends he'd lost, the silence he had carried home with him for decades. In honoring Will's memory, Anya had unlocked a path to understanding her own father. Her duty at the tomb had reached into her own life, healing a silence she hadn't even known how to break. She had started by answering the call of one lost soldier and had, in the end, helped countless others, including her own family, find their way home. This story is more than just an encounter between a soldier of the present and a spirit of the past. It's a powerful testament to the idea that beneath the cold marble of monuments, every soul carries a story that yearns to be heard. Anya Petrova's actions redefine what it means to be a guardian. She teaches us that the ultimate duty is not just to protect a physical place, but to preserve the memories within it. Have you ever felt a deep connection to a story from the past, almost as if it were calling out to you? What would you have done in Anya's place when confronted with something so far beyond military protocol, challenging everything you were trained to believe? Do you think that the simple act of remembering and speaking someone's name truly has the power to bring peace to a restless soul, bridging the gap between then and now? If this story about duty, memory, and courage resonated with you, hit that like button and subscribe for more stories about forgotten heroes and the legacies they leave behind. Share this with someone who believes that honoring our past is the best way to build a more compassionate future. We read and appreciate every single comment you leave, as they become part of this shared act of remembrance. More stories about incredible acts of service and unexplained connections are waiting on your screen right now. Watch those next, and we'll see you in the next one with another story that deserves to be told and a memory that deserves to be honored.